There's an old saying, would you rather be feared or loved? Most people today associate that with how Michael Scott answered.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both.
You laugh at that answer, but someone kinda pulled that off. A man so fierce and intimidating, but lovable along the way. Arguably the most unstoppable athlete who ever lived when he was at his best. Less arguably, the scariest man on the planet, Mike Tyson.
I feel like if you hit me, I would probably die. Like right now.
You know Mike Tyson for a lot of things. His boxing, his quotes, his personality, his interesting movie roles. But what you may not fully realize is that for almost 5 years, there was absolutely no one who could touch him. Before he could legally drink alcohol in the United States, he was crushing some of the best boxers in the world. That's not the whole story though. His prime was unreal, maybe the greatest prime ever in any sport. Let's break it down. To get us started, we're gonna watch a full Mike Tyson fight together. Don't worry, it won't take very long.
Supplemental 4-point scoring system if the rounds wind up even, and the 3 knockdown rule is in effect. Tyson comes out slugging.
He comes out smoking like Marvis's father, Joe. Marvis must move or we're going to be out of here very, very quickly. Uppercut, and Marvis is hurt.
Razor is down. Joe Cortez moves in to have a look, and he's going to stop the fight. It did not last 20 seconds.
That's pretty much how most of his fights went. His fights were usually shorter than this video talking about him. The question wasn't, is Mike Tyson gonna beat you? It was, is he gonna do it in the first round? Of his first 37 fights, he won them all. 33 were knockout wins. 17 of those were in the first round. Over 45% of his fights ended in the first round. Rounds are typically 3 minutes long. Of course, other guys had great win streaks and undefeated runs, but nobody was as dominant and as untouchable as peak Mike Tyson. Maybe in all of sports, but that's up to you to decide. It's not like he fought all scrubs either. Even in title fights, he only averaged 5.2 rounds per fight. By far the lowest ever. These are some of the boxers he beat from 1985 to 1989. These are some real opponents here. Michael Spinks is one that deserves a little more attention. Spinks was considered one of the best contenders to Tyson's throne, as were some of the others he made quick work of. Spinks came into the fight 31-0 with 21 knockouts and held the Ring and Boxing Illustrated Heavyweight Championship. Safe to say he was one of the best boxers in the world. Tyson knocked him out in 91 seconds. He barely made it halfway through the first round. That was the skill gap between Mike Tyson and the best heavyweights in the world.
You know, he could kill you. He could kill all of us. I think sometimes we forget that that's Mike Tyson.
Spinks admitted he was afraid going into the fight, and Tyson knew it. Tyson was just destroying the best fighters in the world, and he usually wasted no time in doing so. Nobody in their right mind could fearlessly go into the ring to fight him, especially by the time he was the champ. Something you may have picked up on was the run laid out in this video is both 37 fights and roughly 5 years. Mike Tyson fought ridiculously often. Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua are considered 2 of the best boxers in the world today, and they've consistently fought exactly twice per year over the last few years. In 1986, Tyson fought 13 times. That's an average of more than once per month. Most of his fights were a matter of weeks apart. The X's on the calendar have all been dates Tyson fought on in just 1986. 11 of these fights were knockouts, 9 of these fights ended in the first or second round. It makes sense why he fought so often. His fights that year usually lasted for 5 minutes or less. So not only was this guy unstoppable already, he would win way more often and way faster. And if you thought you had any chance of getting to him first, he also had never been knocked down. In 37 fights, Mike Tyson was never even knocked down once. Nobody in the boxing community thought he could possibly lose. Until he did. The reason we've been using that number of 37 fights is that in fight 38, Tyson lost. The loss was so unexpected that Tyson's team didn't even bring tools to help with swelling because they thought there was no way he'd even need them in the fight. He was so dominant in his career that his corner didn't even bring ice. 42-1 underdog Buster Douglas famously knocked out Mike Tyson on February 11th, 1990 in Tokyo. Or did he? This is footage from the Joe Rogan Experience. It's worth seeing because there's an argument that Mike Tyson actually won this fight all along.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're out. You're out, Buster.
Yeah, he's only on 8 on Buster there.
No, he's out. He's out.
Mike.
Tyson knocked Douglas down earlier in the fight, but he didn't knock him out. The argument is that Buster Douglas got way more time when he was down than Tyson did, which is true if you watch the footage. It's just a matter of how much different it was. Either way, if the ref treated the two equally, Tyson would have knocked Buster out. He would have won the fight, still have been undefeated, and had a fight ready with Evander Holyfield next. But that's not what happened. Mike Tyson in his prime was an unstoppable force at such a young age, but he was proven to be human. The only thing more unbeatable than peak Tyson was video game Tyson. One of the most famous video game boss fights, and the game itself, exist in the first place because of how great Tyson was. It's thought to be one of the toughest video game boss fights ever, which makes it a pretty good representation of what it was thought to be like to fight actual Mike Tyson. There are very few athletes like Mike Tyson, in or out of the ring. But one thing's for sure, in the late 80s there was no beating him, no touching him, and absolutely no way you could confidently face him without fear. He was destroying some of the best boxers in the world quicker than anyone ever could. His peak may have been the highest anyone has ever reached, ever, in any sport.